All right, welcome back to Beckler Guitars and Repair, and we're just going to jump right into it today. I'm excited about this guitar. Let's go ahead. And here we are. It's pretty. So this is a 2010 Martin GPCPA1 Performing Artist Grand Performance. This is quite a high-end Martin. I just picked it up yesterday, and it's been a while since I played a Martin. I used to own one that I was pretty sad to have sold, and I kind of missed that guitar, so I'm hoping that I'll like this one. And yeah, this is one of their higher end models. It's got Sitka spruce top, Indian rosewood back and sides, and an ebony fingerboard with those fancy abalone arrow inlays and snowflake in the middle. It's got the abalone rosette, ebony bridge, bone nut, and it's got the cutaway. There's a look at the Indian rosewood. Looks like a mahogany neck. And this one also has the Fishman Aurora electronics. And yeah, so I got this one for quite a good deal because it needs some repair. Just get it back in the case there. Alright, so first thing it needs is there is quite a large crack running down the soundboard right next to the bridge. It goes all the way from the bridge to the body. And then there's another little area right here. See if I can get the camera to focus and see it here. A little hard to see, but if you catch it in the light, you can see there's a little bit of a crack right there as well. Apparently that's where the guitar fell over and hit a mic stand. So a little bit of a repair there that's needed. And then it's got some quite sharp fret ends too. So those fret ends needs to be addressed and just restrung and set up. But you know, in the grand scheme of things, those are pretty minor repairs, and I got quite a good deal on this guitar because it needed those repairs. So today we're going to go through those repairs and get it all fixed up, restring it, set it up, and then we'll plug it in and try it out. Okay, so first things first, we're going to repair this crack. So I'm going to remove the strings, and I'm going to show you how to repair an acoustic crack. I have some cleats already made here. I'll just show you these. So I made these out of material I have from building. So these are little spruce cleats. So basically I took a sheet of spruce, like for a spruce top, and cut them into little diamond cleat sizes. And what we're going to do is we're going to fill this crack. It's closed quite a bit due to the humidity in this room. I had it right underneath the humidifiers since I got it. So for a couple days there they are pumping. And just to get a little bit more humidity back into the wood, I did test the wood and it's not overly dried out. So it's about as humid as it needs to be to repair this crack. So what we're going to do is fill the crack with glue. We're going to put these cleats into place along the crack every inch or so. And then we're going to clamp the top of the body to close the crack even more. And then we're going to let that sit for a good 24 hours to make sure everything's closed. And we're going to do the same thing for this little side crack here. Although this little side crack is more of an impact crack. So I think once we get it back into place, I'm going to put a cleat there just for good measure. And that should be fine. And as far as the sprout goes, even that little bit of humidity I've put back into it is already eliminating the sprout. So that wood is re-moisturizing, getting rehydrated, and swelling up a little bit, so the sprout isn't as bad. But we will address what's left there with a file and some sanding. Then we can restring it, set it up, and try it out. So okay, let's get started. I'm going to go ahead and remove the strings, and we're going to fill that crack with wood glue, and we'll start clamping our cleats where they need to go. Alright, so I'm zoomed in here on the crack. I'm just going to show you what I'm going to be doing to start. So first off, I'm just going to do a little bit of tight bond, and I'm just going to go over the crack and then force some glue into the crack. So there's a couple different ways you can do this. I've seen people put like a strip of packing tape and then squeeze it into the crack that way. I've seen people have some sort of like a sucker that blows the glue into the crack. I've seen people put their lips on it and blow it into the crack too, but what I like to do is just use my finger and really use a lot of pressure to force the glue into and down into the crack. And I'll do this a couple times, like 2 or 3 beads of glue, and I find this is just the most consistent method to getting even distribution for the glue. Sometimes the blowing stuff, it works, but you get more in one spot than the other. And really firmly pushing the glue into the crack, like putting a lot of pressure behind it, seems to work the best and the easiest way to do it. So, and then we can clean all this up afterwards fairly easily, because this is water soluble glue. So you just take a paper towel and wipe it up when you're done. So this crack the glue is going in fairly nicely. Another way you can check about how much glue is going in is if you have an endoscope or a mirror, you can go inside and see if there's any glue coming through the other side, and if there is, you know you've got quite nice coverage. So I think that's all I'm going to need. I can see that the crack is filled with glue. I'm going to do a little bit of a cleanup now, and then I'm going to throw a clamp on the top just to close it up and see if I can get a little bit of squeeze out. And then we can go ahead and start with our cleats. Okay, so that's with the crack filled with the glue. I've also got one clamp just running across the top and squeezing just the top, like the spruce top, very gently. I kept tightening until I saw it start to squeeze out on the crack. So that means that there is a little bit of pressure closing that crack. So that's what I want. That helps, along with the rehydration of the wood. Now, while this is drying, I'm going to put those cleats in the back. And I have a kind of a cool way of doing it with magnets, so you can see exactly where the cleats are, and that way it takes a lot of the guesswork out of where the cleats are. You can also check the location of the cleats using a mirror, which is what I'm going to be doing. And so this is just kind of a mirror on a stick, a telescoping mirror. It also has a light built in, so I can go into the sound hole and see what's happening with the bracing as I'm putting it on. So it's a little bit of a process, but we can get started and I'll show you how it works. And I just wanted to show a quick example of that squeeze out I mentioned before. See if I can get it on camera here. So if you look right there in the mirror, and I think you can see it, there's a little bit of squeeze out coming from that crack where we forced in the glue. So that's what you want to see. That shows that it went all the way through, and we've got good coverage and it's squeezed out there. And you can't see anymore, but I can see it all the way back along the line. So that's great. Okay, so I just want to show you my cleating method. So this is a little bit of a process that I have figured out over the years, and this is kind of the best way I like to do it. So I'm using these rare earth magnets. So these are very powerful little magnets. I bought these at a woodworking store, and they're really good for cleating acoustic guitars because it's kind of hard to get in there sometimes. And I just want to show you what I'm doing. So you see how that magnet just moved? So what I want to do is I put this magnet where I want the cleat, and then I put some glue on the cleat, and then that magnet attraction is going to keep that cleat exactly where I want it. So it's a really good method for doing cracks, and you don't need all those little internal clamps. Those work good too, but I just find this way works a little bit better. So I just want to make sure I have my magnet facing the right way. So that's going to be there. So what I do is, so I can get my finger where it needs to go, I put on a little bit of painter's tape on my finger, double-sided, and then I do another double side for the cleat. So now we've got double-sided to my finger, magnet, double-sided to the cleat, and I just make sure that the cleat wood grain is lining up where I want it. You want the wood grain to match, so they're running in the same direction. Then I put my cleat there, and then I take some glue, put the glue on the cleat, make sure that it's spread nice and evenly. I don't want too much glue, I just want even coverage so it doesn't slide everywhere. So that's what my little apparatus looks like here. And then I'm going to reach in, and I can kind of feel around exactly where this cleat is going to go. And then I can make sure that the magnet is right where I need it to be to hold it in place. So right now the magnet is showing that I'm right on the crack, about 1 inch from the bridge, which is exactly where I want it. I want to put a cleat every inch along the crack, obviously 1 inch away from the bracing as well, all the way down to where the crack ends, and that should prevent the crack from ever opening again, and it'll keep it sealed and where it needs to go. So now I'm going to wait 10 minutes for that cleat to set, and then I can move on every inch down the crack. Okay, so all cleated up, good to go. So I put a cleat here, 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 and then one at the very end there. So I use magnets like I showed you for the first one, and we can throw our mirror in there and have a look in a sec, but I just want to show you how clean that crack came out. So what I did is I waited for that glue to dry, and then I just went over top of the crack with a lacquer pen just to seal it. So what we have now is a sealed crack, and as that glue, that wood glue, dries even more, it'll become more translucent. So right now you can see that kind of a cream color, but it's going to be even less apparent as it dries. So it came out quite well. Let me see if I can zoom in so you can get a better look here. Yeah, okay. And I'll throw some light on there too. So yeah, I'll just try to slowly move the camera. So yeah, you can see the crack came out quite nice. It's sealed nice and close, and as I said before, as that glue dries, it should be even less visible. Right there, you can kind of see the crack in the light a little bit. So that came out pretty clean as well. So yeah, filled in that crack with the lacquer pen, and then I just did a little bit of wet sanding. So it's pretty hard to see unless you get super close. There you can see a little bit there. But overall, I'm pretty happy with that. And there's another look at that crack. So, okay, those are the two major concerns that we had with the guitar. The next thing we're going to do is do a little bit of fret filing, but they're already a lot better than where they were. As the wood gains a little bit more moisture from being close to those humidifiers, it's going to make it less and less apparent. So, but we'll go ahead and do that quickly. Basically, I'm just going to use a bastard file to go along the edges and then clean that up with a little bit of sandpaper. So let's do that. So the fret sprout is just trying it out again here, and the fret sprout is so minor now that it's been hydrating even more. It just gets less and less and less. It's so minor now I don't even need to use a file. I'm just going to be using a little piece of micro mesh just to round out the edges a little bit. I put some painter's tape down just so I wouldn't mess up the finish if I go too far in my stroke here, but I'll just show you how I do that. So I'm just sanding until I feel no resistance on the front end, so that lets me know that it's nice and smooth. And I like to go all the way up the fretboard. So even that is enough. So there's no catching. Feels nice and smooth. That's what you want. And I'll do the same for the other side. If this was worse, I would use a file and I'll just kind of show you the method anyway. So I'll just use my filing file, like my level file, and just slowly go along the side until there is no more resistance. And then you could use a small little file to clean up the sides. But even that little bit with the micro mesh really solved the problem. It's nice and smooth now with nothing catching. So we can go ahead and put the strings on and work on the setup. Alright, before I put the strings on, I just want to show how nice this thing cleaned up. I did a little bit of cleaning before we're going to put the strings on here. So there's our mother of pearl inlay, the old, like the block style Martin on the headstock, which I really like. I think it looks really classy. And there's our bone nut. And then, yeah, our inlays are really cool. They're the, you know, the arrow with the abalone snowflake in the center. And, yeah, the bridge is ebony as well with a bone saddle. And there's our crack. So just zooming out, you can see that it's pretty hard to see. If you get a little closer, you can definitely see it, but it's closed and sealed, so that looks good. And then as for our cracks on the side, you can see them right here. So those turned out pretty well as well. There's a cleat against the rosewood on the side, and the cracks have been sealed, and just a little bit of wet sanding there as well. A couple things I noticed when I was doing this is there's a little bit of residue or something on a couple spots on the guitar. So like right there. It's not much, but I can't really figure out what it is. It doesn't come off. So something was spilt on it or something that reacted with the finish perhaps. but it's just right there, and then another small spot on the other body right there, if I get it in the light. And again, it's not very apparent, but you can see it in the light, and I can't seem to get it off. Okay, so now I just want to show with the mirror how our cleats turned out. Let's see if we can get these cleats on camera here. It's going to be a little hard to see, but yeah, it's going to be hard to see with that light and everything. I think you can see one there, but yeah, there is a, if you look on the sound hole, there's a nice line of cleats that go all the way down the crack, about 1 inch apart. And it's going to be hard to see our rosewood cleat. There's a picture there. I don't know if you can see that, but yeah, there's our rosewood cleat just on the crack on the inside, so that's sealed and good to go as well. And our frets are now nice and buttery smooth, nothing catching. So we've addressed all the issues on this guitar. So now we're ready to throw the strings on and set it up and see how it sounds. Oh, one other thing I wanted to mention is this guitar is nice. It comes with these bone bridge pins. They have a little bit of a abalone dot on the end too, so they're pretty cool. Yeah, they're nice. I find bone bridge pins, if you have a bone saddle, bone bridge pins and a bone nut, that's usually where I find you get the best projection and the most sustain out of an acoustic. I've experimented with a couple different materials over the years, and I always end up coming back to bone for the saddle, the nut, and the bridge pins for my preferred sound. Alright, so let's get it restrung. Alright, here it is all restrung, and yeah, for the setup I honestly had to do nothing to it. It's really well set up as it came. So I'm just going to show that here. On the 3rd fret, when we fret here, it's nice and low and the string's resting right against that 1st fret on each string down the 3rd fret here. And our action is set nicely. You can see there's just a tiny bit of relief in the neck, just a little bit, but other than that it's nice and low, and there's no buzz anywhere in this fretboard, so that's where you want it. And then at the 12th fret we've got about, let's let it focus here, one sec, there we go. So we're looking at about 2 millimeters on the low E and about 1.5 millimeters at the high E. So that's nice and low for an acoustic. So this is a Martin Truss tool. So most Allen keys don't work on a Martin because they have the truss rod deeply in the sound hole. So usually they'll come with a specific tool to do this. This guitar didn't, but I have one on hand. So what you do is you just go through the normal spot where you would find the truss rod, but you just got to go a little bit deeper, so you need a deeper tool, and then you can adjust it that way. So this is the Aurora F1. So this system was specifically designed for this series of guitar from Martin, and it was considered to be top of the line electronics of the day. So this guitar is from 2010, and what's cool about this, it's got the built-in tuner. You can also adjust tone and volume with these 2 knobs, but then they also have buttons here. And what is cool, it actually has onboard voices, which were designed by using microphones, high-end microphones on this specific guitar. So you can choose up to 9 different voices, different microphones that were used with this guitar to get that voice when you plug in along with the preamp. And then you can blend of how much sound of each is coming through your overall sound. So I found that somewhere in the middle, using the pickup and the voice in the guitar usually sounds the best. But you can really get some amazing sounds out of this thing plugged in with that system. And then it's also, you're able to edit the patches or the voices. So you can adjust the volume or the treble or the bass. You can EQ it differently, and then save your own presets as well. And this is all done with just 2 buttons, because you can use it to scroll or press or long press. So it's a pretty cool onboard system here, and it doesn't take up a lot of real estate on the guitar either. It's not like a huge chunk is missing to put in a big boxy kind of a preamp. This is pretty elegant and useful, and they sound great. So yeah, this is a really nice little addition to this guitar. Now I'm just going to tune it up with the Strobo Plus HD tuner. You can see it in the background there. I'm going to use the acoustic guitar sweetener to get it as close to being in tune as possible, up to 1/1000th of a cent, which is the claim to fame of the Strobo Plus. So hopefully it will be nice in tune. And I also have a little acoustic amplifier that I'm going to be plugging in. I'm going to find the best preset for sound, and then I'll demo that. So I'm not going to go through everything on the preamp, but I'm just going to find the best sound that I like and demo that. So, okay. Alright, well, before I plug in, I just wanted to show how this guitar sounded just acoustically straight up. So I'm just going to run through some tones acoustically, and you can hear how it sounds. So yeah, very nice and full sounding, good low end. I'm just going to use a capo to get some of those higher tones on here. All right, I'm just gonna do some finger picking now. So yeah, nice and resonant, good projection, nice tones. Sounds like a Martin. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and plug it in now and see how the preamp sounds and what the voices sound like. Okay, we are going to plug it in eventually, I promise, but I forgot about specs so far, so let's grab those quick. So for weight, we're looking at 4 pounds, 13.3 ounces. Okay, so there's our neck profile, and you can see it's a little bit of a soft V. It gets a little sharp at the top. It's kind of like a C, but a little bit more pointy at the end. But it's a very nice feeling neck. All right, so the nut width is a 1.792. And the width at the 12th is a 2.109. First fret neck depth is a 0.837. And at the 12th, we'll take it at the 11th because it just turns into the heel of the 12th, is a 9.29. Okay, here we are, finally plugged in. So I'm just using a Joyo AC40 acoustic amp. The amp is running completely flat, so everything you're hearing is coming right from the guitar. And I did find a preamp or a voice that I really liked, and I blended it with the pickup. There's 9 different options, so I'm using number 2. They have a different microphone name for each one and different specs. You can look it up in the manual, but all of them sound great. I just gravitated toward this one because it's my personal preference. So I'm going to do a little finger picking, and you can hear how it sounds. And I'm just using the boom mic on my camera so you can hear how it sounds in the room. I'm going to do a little strumming now. So yeah, it sounds great. You know, you can make this guitar sound however you want, because it's got the voices built in, it's got the preamp. You can just use the preamp, or if you wanted, or the pickup rather, not the preamp. You can also adjust the voices to get them to sound just how you want. You can adjust the bass and treble and presence and all of that. So it's quite a robust onboard system that you can kind of tweak to however you want. Just to give you an example of the different sounds, I'm just going to strum a few chords and just cycle through the voices. Let's see. Alright, so 1, 2, 4. Actually, that's a nice one. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So yeah, 9 different voices that you can adjust and edit the way you like. You can also save your own presets, and then you can blend between the preset or the voice and the pickup, whatever voice you're getting most of. And then you've got your volume and treble controls otherwise, and a built-in tuner. It's a chromatic tuner, and it seems to be quite accurate, and it mute your signal when you're using it too. So yeah, wow, it's quite an impressive guitar. It's made out of top quality materials, you know, Sitka spruce top, solid Indian rosewood back and sides. It's got gorgeous binding, abalone inlays with the arrows on the frets. It's got an ebony fingerboard. It's bound as well in rosewood. It's got a ebony bridge, bone nut saddles, and bridge pins. It's got that really fancy F1 Fishman Aura pickup system, mahogany neck, really high quality Martin tuners. It's got that really nice abalone inlay on the headstock and that block style Martin logo. And yeah, it's just a really nice playing guitar. The neck feels really comfortable. It sounds great acoustically or plugged in. You can get it to sound however you want. This one came in a little bit rougher condition when I picked it up. But yeah, we fixed the crack, we fixed that other little cracking on the side there with a rosewood cleat and some lacquer pen and some wet sanding. And yeah, it didn't need much of a setup. It came perfectly set up. The truss rod works great, and the frets are in excellent condition. There's no wear at all, no visible wear. And yeah, it's a fantastic guitar.
It also comes with the case and all the papers as well. There's a Martin warranty and the care manual and a couple other things in there. There's actually a DVD included in how to run the pickup system, which is, I'm sure, is a video you could find online as well. But yeah, this one, I've got an acoustic that I use for gigging already, otherwise this would be it. So this one's going to go up on the Reverb page. If you're interested in it, you can go check it out. The Reverb link will be in the description. And if you have the opportunity to find one of these used, or they don't make this model anymore, but if you come across one used or see one locally that you could try or pick up for a little less money, I would definitely recommend doing so. Really, really nice guitar, and it would be just a great gigging guitar too, because you can plug it in, you can make it sound however you want. It sounds great acoustically as well, and it's nice and light, and it's comfortable and easy to play. So yeah, great guitar. Thanks for tuning in today to Beckler Guitars and Repair, and we'll have more coming for you really soon. Thanks a lot.